Finbar's going to join us and he's going to talk to us about how automated app ads can help you achieve more for less. Hello, Finbar. Hopefully you're connecting okay. Great. Good to see you. Without further ado, I'll hand over to you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Let's get this screen sharing going. One thing let's look at silver linings and stuff. It's a very interesting way to be doing this, but I'm happy I didn't have to get up at 6 a.m. for a flight this morning, so that works.
How very true.
Amazing. Is that sharing? Does that look all right for everyone?
That looks great. Thank you.
Perfect. Amazing. So firstly, just to introduce myself, my name is Finbar O'Mahony and I'm a vertical strategy lead for gaming here at Facebook. Today, I want to talk to you about an exciting new solution to help developers drive sustained user acquisition performance at scale on Facebook, which is automated app ads. The purpose of this today is really to give an overview to everyone, but also to provide enough details so that if at the end of this, it's something that you want to start doing, you have enough information to understand the context and what we're trying to do with this. I'm going to assume that most people here are already familiar with Facebook's app ads products. So we'll be discussing with automated app ads, why we built it, how they differ from existing ads, what to expect from it, and then providing an overview of how to set yourself up for success and some of the pitfalls to potentially avoid. So we're going to start with a high-level overview, and then we can move into some more detail as we go on. So let's go. Automated app ads is basically our next step towards enabling app advertisers of all sizes to effortlessly achieve the highest performance from their ads. Automated app ads is built with our powerful machine learning and automated systems to maximize the power of your marketing. We understand that for any developers, your business growth depends on performance. When it comes to your app ads campaigns, every euro needs to drive impact on both your app and on your growth as a business. For app marketers, sustained performance is the ultimate goal. However, performance can fluctuate, and sustaining performance when you scale is often complex, even on our own systems and products. I think anyone who's ran campaigns on Facebook understands that to really keep it going, it's okay to get success. As you start scaling, that becomes more complicated. There's a lot more work involved, and especially for companies that may not necessarily have the resources to throw a lot of individuals at that. And that's what we had in mind when we're talking about our automated app ads. Achieving top performance often requires advertisers spend much of their time monitoring and tweaking multiple campaigns. In addition, having so many campaigns running at once can create audience overlap, which can actually prevent budgets from being allocated in the most efficient way and can negatively impact performance. So again, we'll jump into that we'll put some more details later. As I'm sure you all know, no matter the size of your business or your marketing team, the effort it takes to sustain performance can make it more difficult to scale. Since Facebook's introduction of app install ads in 2012, we've continued to build ad solutions and tools to further empower app business growth. It's our goal to empower advertisers of all sizes to effortlessly achieve the highest performance of their ads. With this in mind, we've set 3 goals for our continued investment in our vision. Number 1, performance. We want to drive more of the actions that you value. Number 2, scale. We want to help you to achieve greater scale and sustained performance. And number 3, efficiency. We want to enable you to do this more efficiently from creating campaigns all the way up to managing them over time. With the introduction of automated app ads, we've taken a huge step forward to making our vision a reality. Automated app ads is a way to run app install ads on Facebook that enables you to achieve more with less and delivers at the same time better performance, greater scale, and more efficiency. We built automated app ads to help your business grow through better performance in driving more of the results you value, greater scale at sustained performance for your ads, and streamlined campaign and creative management to make it more efficient than our current app advertising solutions. Automated app ads is our next step to help solve for sustainability of performance. And I think today, automated app ads is really where we have a huge, we're really excited about this, is on the efficiency and the sustainability point. Today, automated app ads is available for the app install objective, and we'll roll out additional features shortly. So when choosing between automated app ads and your business as usual Facebook activity, you can decide which is the best choice for you, your business as usual manual Facebook app ads or automated app ads. And we'll go over the differences between the two of those, as well as considerations to help you decide what to use based on your business goals. So what is the difference between automated app ads and the app install ads you're already familiar with? Essentially, where automated app ads are concerned, as mentioned, less is more. Automated app ads require fewer inputs, have simpler campaign structures that are designed to reduce and even eliminate overlap, and they rely heavily on machine learning to sustain and improve performance. They also have the ability to test a large number of creative combinations dynamically. So as you can see from the comparison on the left and right, manual app ads have multiple ad sets and multiple ads within a single campaign, whereas automated app ads is one campaign, one ad set, and one ad. And we'll go into a little bit more detail on this. How does it work? So first, the ad delivery system collects a lot of inputs from automated app ads side. So when you're creating manual ads, you have a number of over 40 inputs, whether it's creative, bidding, optimization, or targeting. For automated app ads, we've reduced that and simplified it so that it's up to 15 inputs. And as you can see from the graphic here, with manual app ads, you dictate and you select the targeting and the placement, whereas with automated app ads, the machine learning will, you don't select targeting or placement, and machine learning will actually figure that out over time. So for automated app ads, the idea is that the system starts delivering and it shows your activity in different placements at different times of day. And over time, the system then learns which of your assets in which placements end up performing the best. And it starts delivering more of that. So with every subsequent impression, the delivery learns the best way to deliver the ad. And the system then can take any, if you wish, can take manual adjustments then into account further on. As you can imagine on automated app ads as well, I think an important point is that it's this kind of constant tweaking and having all these controls at the start that can make actually sustained performance very difficult over time. So the idea with automated app ads is it really is it's a simpler interface, it's a simpler set, and then really heavily leveraging machine learning to then drive that performance versus having people on the back end or people on the teams tweaking things, making changes. So to test if automated app ads is the right product for your user acquisition activity on Facebook, I think the first thing to do is set up a split test to properly A/B test automated app ads versus your business as usual with no overlap. If automated app ads is determined to be the winner, then we suggest shifting your spend over to automated app ads. It's recommended to try this in a few test markets first before shifting 100% to automated app ads. If automated app ads and business as usual activity are delivering to the same audience, business as usual activity may interfere with our machine learning and with the learning phase to prevent automated app ads from achieving the best performance, which is why we suggest when testing it, it should be a clean A/B test versus just setting the boat up and seeing which wins. If your activity currently relies on playables, dynamic language optimization, or placement asset customization, even though these aren't supported by automated app ads, we still recommend A/B testing so that you can see what gains are possible from automated app ads without these features. If, on the other hand, you're looking to drive mobile app engagement or you're using dynamic ads, then automated app ads probably isn't suitable for you at this time. So let's talk about some of the best practices for automated app ads. Firstly, how do we set it up? So in order to create an automated app ads campaign, you go into your ads manager as per usual and select app installs as your objective. This time, when you've done that, you'll see two options. One is to create a manual app ads campaign, which is what you've been doing to date. And the other option is to create an automated app ads campaign. Now, at this point, it's important to note, just as a tip, there's currently no way to filter by automated app ad campaigns in your ads manager account. So when you're creating it, we highly recommend referencing automated app ads in the name of the campaign, so that if you want, you can sort and filter them for reporting yourself. Something as simple as putting AAA in the name of the campaign should allow you to do that. In terms of targeting, as discussed, there are fewer options available than manual app ad campaigns. So the only targeting options available are country, the operating system, and language is an optional targeting option that's also there. You can't have two automated app ads that are targeting the same country, language, and operating system with the same optimization type running at the same time. And we'll talk a little bit about why that is shortly. It's basically, in summary, the whole point in that is to allow automated app ads to succeed and to improve performance. So we don't want multiple campaigns targeting the same audience cannibalizing potential conversions. It's also possible to target multiple countries per campaign. However, as mentioned, since dynamic language optimization is not supported, you should group your countries that have the same primary language or add additional language targeting. This will help to ensure that people receive your ads in the right language. If you need to test your targeting, while this can't be done in automated app ads, this can be done with manual app install campaigns. So if you need to do any testing, you can run that with your manual ads and then incorporate any of those learnings into your automated app ad campaigns. So once you've selected your targeting, you'll choose between one of 4 optimization goals available: app installs, app events, value, or a new goal created specifically for automated app ads, app installs with app events. While your optimization goal should be based on your KPIs, creating multiple campaigns in order to run a mix of optimization goals is a great way to diversify your activity. App install ads with app events. So firstly, currently the only app event available for this is purchase events. So we could call it app install with purchase events. I want to talk briefly about it, just to give, because it's new, just to give you an idea of what it does. So if you have a specific cost per install and cost per event goals, then this new optimization type enables you to balance app installs with app events in a single campaign. One thing that's worth noting is that compared to the mobile app install objective, the app installs with app events objective might deliver higher cost per installs, but also but lower cost per purchases. And similarly, if you're comparing it with app event optimization, you might find higher cost per purchases, but actually lower cost per installs. So we're really aiming for the sweet spot, combining performance and scale. And I highly encourage you to test it out. I'm going to leave this slide up for a little bit to allow everyone to read it. But effectively, what we're doing here is providing guidance on which automated app ad optimization goals you should think about using based on your current optimization, targeting, and KPIs. So choose the optimization based on what you're currently doing today. But as we already recommend a mix of strategies for manual app ads, a mix of strategies for automated app ads is also worth exploring. So in other words, if you're exploring multiple, if multiple of these options apply to you, then you can also test multiple options with automated app ads. Again, I just want to reiterate the restriction that no 2 automated app ads campaigns can be targeting the same country, OS, language with the same optimization type. So you can have multiple automated app ads campaigns targeting the same country, operating system, and language, as long as they have different optimization types. So you could have one automated app ads campaign that's targeting, that's looking for installs, one that's looking for installs and purchases, one that's looking for app events, and one that's looking for value. That's fine. Next, I want to speak about creative, which is really a very powerful feature of automated app ads. And in fact, given the simpler interface, creative is going to be the main lever that you'll have to drive performance. Each automated app ad campaign allows you to provide up to 50 videos or images, and will then combine those with 5 headlines and text, allowing for more than 1,000 combinations of creative headline and text. For the best performance, we recommend, or we suggest, uploading a maximum number of assets and ensuring that the assets you provide contain a healthy mix of video, static, and dimensions to ensure maximum eligibility for most placements. We tend to see worse performance for automated app ads when activity doesn't make full use of all the creative slots available. Over time, you'll want to think about replacing your worst performing creative assets with new ones. Now, by worst performing, that doesn't necessarily mean lowest volume, because what we might find is the automated app ad system might find a pocket of your audience who respond really well to one variation of the creatives you're using. So we don't want to necessarily, if it's working, if it's performing, if you're happy with results, we don't necessarily want to replace that just because it's not driving the volume. So we're looking for more, okay, well, what are the lower performing creative assets, and subbing them out and introducing new creatives to refresh the activity. Similarly to manual app ads, we recommend introducing new creative or videos about 2 to 4 times a month in order to combat creative fatigue and keep things fresh. So when you think about your mix of 50 creative assets, in addition to considering the dimensions, as I mentioned, there are a few other ways to approach this and really put creative at the center of your acquisition strategy. Firstly, which theme or concept is strong? Do different themes resonate better with different audiences? And how do different visuals and copy work in a variety of markets? So what we're saying here is you might find that for some games, for some audiences, the competitive elements of your game really appeals to them. For other people, maybe there's an element of customization that really appeals to them. So by using the pool of 50 creative assets to mix the themes and what you're saying about your game, it will allow our system to find the right audience for those creative assets. And having a strong diversity of creative themes will give more flexibility than having 50 iterations of the exact same creative. And again, creative will be your main lever. So it's really important to focus on the creative you're using. And in fact, I'd say that one of the bigger shifts that we expect to see with automated app ads is because of the limitations on the targeting, where we're leveraging machine learning to do that instead. It should allow more time to really focus on creative and to build strong creative concepts, see what's working on that side. So now that we've set up an automated app ads campaign, how do we see if it's working? What's the reporting look like? The first thing to note is that reporting for automated app ads is simplified, and it only provides breakdowns based on what you can actually control at campaign creation. So what this means is that for automated app ads, since you can't select age, gender, device, or placement, these breakdowns are not available on the reporting side for automated app ads. You will be able to do breakdowns by country, creative, and by any of the by time options that are available. Any non-automated app ad campaigns in the account will retain existing reporting. And again, just to reiterate, this is where it's really important to have labeled your campaigns with automated app ads in the name if you want to actually filter them and find out, okay, well, which of your campaigns are currently running automated app ads. The current way to do that is by naming only. And so if you want to review creative, this can be done on an ad set level. So you can review performance by reviewing the dynamic, by selecting the dynamic creative asset breakdown. Before we wrap up, I just want to spend a little time discussing some tips and some watch outs. And I also want to ensure that everybody here has a very good understanding of what the learning phase is, because the learning phase is really critical and a key factor to what we're trying to do with automated app ads. Hopefully you'll all be familiar with the learning phase and understand what I mean when I say the learning phase, but in case anyone isn't, effectively what the learning phase is that when our system is still exploring the best way to deliver your ad set, actively trying out different audiences and placements, as the term implies, it's not yet stabilized and it's still learning. So ad sets typically exit the learning phase as soon as their performance stabilizes, which tends to be after approximately 50 conversions over a 7-day period. 50 is a standard. 51 and 49, there's not much difference between them, so it's more of a guideline than a hard rule. But I think the key piece is that what we find sometimes is that if people end up changing their activity or making decisions based on results that they're seeing while the activity is still in the learning phase, what ends up happening is that they're making activity before the system actually understands who the best audience is. So we'd always encourage everyone, even with manual app ads, to make sure that your activity is exiting the learning phase first, and after you've exited the learning phase, then make a decision based on those results. With automated app ads, the learning phase is the same, but we won't actually flag if your system is, if automated app ads are in the learning phase or not. So I think it's important to incorporate all of these recommendations up front. So firstly, we want to make sure that your budget allows you to at least reach 50 conversions, so whatever you're setting up. And secondly, making sure that you choose an optimization type that we expect will happen within at least 50 times within a 7-day period. So in addition, what you might also find is that your budget varies depending on the country and the OS that you're targeting. So setting an appropriate budget and having conversion events that are frequent enough to hit that learning threshold. The other thing to note is that editing, any changes you make will reset the system and enter it back into the learning phase. Now, that doesn't mean that we should never make any changes. Oftentimes the benefit of making those changes outweighs the cost of going back into the learning phase. But what we would say is, firstly, wait until you've exited the learning phase before making changes. And then secondly, when you are going to make changes, make all of your changes at once. So that means that you're not going repeatedly back into the learning phase. That's hopefully something that most people using manual app ads understand at this point. If you're going to try automated app ads, it's just worth keeping in mind as well. Listed here are the edits that will reset the learning phase. So before we finish up and take a look at some of the testimonials and case studies, I just want to share some final watchouts. This is really a list of things to avoid when using automated app ads. Some of it you'll find is an overlap from our manual app ads recommendations as well. So number one, try and avoid small audiences. This is a system based on machine learning. It needs information in order to succeed. So the general guidance is for app event optimization and MAI goals to have at least 4 million people in the target audience, and for value optimization to have at least 6 people. Now, I think some people ask is, okay, well, if I can't control who the audience is, how do I ensure that how can I control the audience size? I think what this really comes down to is a few things. It's how you're combining country and OS targeting. If the country you're targeting doesn't have 4 million or 6 million people, then consider bucketing that country with additional countries who speak the same language. Similarly, if the population is approximately at that level, then maybe consider not reducing it any further with potentially language targeting unless there's a need to do so. Campaign overlap, again, this is very related to the learning phase piece. What we're seeing there is with automated app ads, we want to make sure that if you're running automated app ads and targeting the same audience with business as usual activity, that could negatively impact the performance of automated app ads. So what we want to see here is try and reduce overlap, make sure that multiple activities aren't targeting the same audience, make sure that your bidding allows you to achieve what you're looking for. I can't emphasize this enough, but really make full use of the of all 50 creative assets available. So another issue we've seen is when people don't use all the creative assets, when they're all using a small number of creative assets, we've seen poor performance in those instances. And then the frequency of edits. So again, with automated app ads, there's no need to make changes all the time. Let's try and make sure that we're exiting learning phase and then making all the changes at once. So just finish up here very quickly. I want to kind of go through some testimonials and case studies associated with each of the objectives that we called out at the start around performance, scale, and efficiency. So firstly, in terms of better performance, I just think this example of Merca scatter slots is great, right? Where they've seen 90% lower cost per action, 40% higher impressions, and a 30% higher return on ad spend. I'm going to run quickly through these, just I think we're kind of at time. From a scale point of view, Ilion Cube Rush Adventure using automated app ads saw 150% more installs and 29% higher return on ad spend. And then finally, for efficiency, I think this quote from AppLovin really sums it up. And this is exactly what we're trying to do here. This is probably really critical if your company doesn't have the resources to invest in monitoring and tweaking these all the time. But even if you do, it's what we're hoping to achieve with automated app ads is to allow your activity to run and to invest more time in the creative ideation and the market research. So that's it here. There's just some final tips that I'll leave up there. And I think with that, we're done.
Yeah,
So,
we've got loads of questions and
Okay.
not a huge amount of time, so let's try and pump through them pretty fast. So obviously we have the elephant in the room that's coming up with the IDFA being removed. And I suppose you could argue there are also legacies around the GDPR and various other kind of issues that still kind of hang over us. How will AAA, for want of a better phrase, how will that work post IDFA?
No, great question. I think there's still a lot of stuff still up in the air, and our understanding is that the impact on automated app ads from IDFA changes won't be material. Like, there's no reason for us to believe it'll be anything different than the impact on the normal business as usual ad activity. So, I mean, it's not a great answer to the impact on.
My personal feeling is that what we end up with is, and I think the general trend has been this from kind of this reason why I mentioned GDPR. The general trend is that we have less and less confidence over the identity of the individual, for good and bad. Bad because we can't give them things that they were necessarily interested in, but good because obviously we're respecting privacy. So I think it means that we still have to do the work, but the outcome is going to give us different results, and therefore we have to interpret them differently. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, what I think is kind of interesting is I think it will require a change. Absolutely. I think exactly to your point of where people are really used to that, okay, I know exactly who this is. I know what's going on. I think people will likely need to get more comfortable with looking at some of this in aggregate. And I think that really plays into a lot of the strengths of automated app ads, where we're no longer, where we're kind of almost relinquishing, between that and effortlessly relinquishing a little bit of control on that side. And I think if we can start looking at the net performance and saying, hey, is that actually working for us?
And actually, I think that becomes less sinister. It becomes less kind of crazy. And also, it means it focuses on what really matters, because we're looking at behavioral and cultural choices, and rather than trying to sort of target individuals, which I think has in many cases led us down some rabbit holes. So another one that, again, I've only got a couple of minutes, so which one do I go for? How do you maintain low CPI when you're dealing with daily user acquisition budgets?
Yeah, well, so this is, and this ties into the last point you made a little bit as well, which is one of the, I guess, real drivers between this automated app ad creation we found, is that we've had a set of recommendations for the longest time for normal manual app ads. What we found is a lot of people aren't adhering to the best practices. I think the temptation to go in and fiddle with, what's changing and stuff like that, I think it's almost too strong to resist. So in terms of achieving lower CPIs, number one, if you're able to really hone in on your targeting, I think the risk is, no, I don't care about mid-value users. I don't care. We want all of us to target who we think are the most valuable users. And that, by definition, I think is going to lead to higher CPIs, especially as you acquire those users and that pool starts to look different unless we introduce new people. With automated app ads, the system has the flexibility to find, higher CPI or higher quality CPI there. And the last thing I'd say is, when most people say CPI, they're also talking about performance. So it's very rare CPI for the sake of it, right? It's very easy to get low CPI installs. So the app install and event optimization goal, I think, could be a great opportunity there.
Yeah, no, the bit I was going to say there is absolutely that, which is that, actually saying we want low CPI, I can totally understand that. It's the thing we want, but actually we want effective users for our game. And it's not about finding the cheap users, it's about finding the audience for our game. Exactly. I think the moment we kind of forget about the purpose of this process is to find our audience, and we just try to get numbers, we lose track of what success looks like, I think.
100%. And if we found in multiple tests in the past that oftentimes developers will have a very strong idea of who their audience is and who their core audience is, and that's fine, that's absolutely correct. But what a lot of people miss is, by focusing on a core audience, there might be another audience who maybe isn't at the same level, but they're also valuable, they're also ROI positive. And so hopefully automated app ads, by using the right creative mix, you can continue attracting your core audience, but maybe broaden the appeal as well.
Yeah, and I think that broadening the appeal is really important, because if you're going to scale, then often you'll find that different aspects of the game will scale to different audiences anyway. So, last question, Tanvir Ahmed is saying, how quickly and how much budget is required for a AAA, for your AAA? That's the difficulty, is AAA means something in games.
We have that internally all the time.
Yeah, I can imagine.
What are we talking about?
So with auto ads, how much is budget and how quickly can you optimize?
So I think the key piece here is the learning phase. So what we're looking for is we need a minimum of those 50 events within the 7-day period. So what the budget is going to look like depends on what your usual costs are for those 50 events. The more the better. So not a great answer, but again, I think that's like what we've seen performance start to improve after that stage, and then the more volume we were able to drive into it, the better it gets.
No, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think in my head, what it seems like we're still going to have lots of value in the manual ads, particularly as we're testing concepts. Yeah. I think that whilst there's some fantastic stuff in terms of the automation, if we're just trying to see, is this idea any good, I think we're going to still be using manual personally. But as we start scaling our game, we want to start broadening our breadth of audience, and I think that's where we can discover who actually is interested in our game rather than who we think is interested.
Absolutely. The last thing I'd add on that is that, like, one of the key functions of automated app ads is to really kind of muscle up on the exploration part of the activity. So really not just finding the users and continuing to convert the users, but finding more users. So making sure that it's always on the lookout for additional pockets of people, and not optimizing too quickly at the expense of sustained performance.
Finbar, thank you so much for that. That was great.